Hi, this is Null Inquisitor with another review of the Nations of Thea. This is Book 7, Husura. Husura is a land based on Russia. It has a very interesting setting for games that would have Russian flavor. They also include the character types such as the gypsies or the Cossack. In this case, they call them the Khazar. It is a large land that is separated from the rest of Thea by the ways of mountains and chains of high mountains. So this big chunk of land is separated from the rest of modernity, if we can say that. The people of Husura are still living like their ancestors. They are a pragmatic bunch with no-nonsense type of attitude. They're really strong of character. They're really the contrary or the opposite of the mountain. They wear brownish gray color, having no need for color in their clothing. Sometimes they will wear some color, but it's not something that they enjoy. They eat simple food. They're hunters. They are proud people. They're kind of pessimistic a little bit about life, and they constantly live as in harmony with the weather and nature, and especially winter. They pray Theus as the Vaticine Church, but they have their own religion that makes the Vaticine Church preaching the teachings of the prophets. In this case, only one prophet, and the old ways, their old tradition, and they believe in Grandmother Winter. A personification of the land that they call Matushka, and for the Husuran people, Matushka is very real. The weather in Husura can attest. If Matushka is angry, the weather will destroy your village. But if you are on the good side of Matushka, you can have a bout of spring in the middle of winter. So the weather in Husura really responds to this alien force called Matushka. And for any other nation, this would be foolish to believe in that kind of pagan creature. Maybe the Avalons have a certain comprehension for this type of belief, but for the Husuran people, Matushka is everywhere and is mostly revered, as much as Theus himself. It is a country where no standard currency exists. The default ways of doing business is by bartering and exchange. It is a land where man coexist with talking animals, where man can sometimes change into beast with the help of the magic called Pieriem. On the cover you have here the King of Kings, their Imperator, called the Gaius. And the current Gaius is named Ilya Sladivgorod Nikolovich, if I pronounce it correctly. His nickname is Grozny. And there you have his wife, the beautiful Katerina Fischler Dimitrova, which is an Eisen woman who is married to this cruel man. And here you have a singular character called Kochei. They say that this man is 1,000 years old, and that he has a friend in Matushka herself. So the land in Usura is divided in 5 Duma, or kingdoms, and you have little maps here to show them to you. So it's really a big land. I think you can fit Montaigne just in this central province. So it's a big country. As I said before, the religion of Usurant is called the Usuran Orthodoxy. They only follow and teach the saying and teachings of the first prophet. The social order in Usura start at the top with the Gaius, and then you have your what they call the Nias Duma, or the Council of Kings. You have 5 kings for each and every one of these provinces. The Gaius being one of them. Then you have your nobles, your boyar, your bogatir. These are kinds of different kind of noble. Then you have the Usuran army, and beside having this standard army, you have one kind of elite brigade that is answering directly to the Gaius, called the Stellets. They are kind of the policemen in Usura. They ensure that Matushka is revered, that holidays are celebrated and revered, and that the 5 kingdoms are maintained and well ordered. Then you have in the social order, still descending, you have the merchant, you have the Vieche, who are some kind of freemen that own some kind of lands, and then the Smerdi, who are artisan, and then getting lower and lower you have your peasant, the Zakupi, who are the landless peasant, and finally you have your Kolopi, who are the slave in Usura. You have 2 kinds of people that lives in Usura that does not answer to the Gaius. First you have the Khazar, who are wild and fierce. They're kind of like the Mongols, or like the Cossack of our real world. Then you have the Fideli, who call themselves the Tibesti, but the prerogative name that the Usuran give them is Fideli. They are independent. They are kind of like the gypsies in 7C and Thea, and they're kind of like wandering nomads and fortune teller and troublemaker, thieves, and well, that's a stereotype. Of course, you can have many types of Fideli. The Destiny spread in Usura use the cups and staves. You have new rules for PREM magic. You have rules for creating your own animal form. If you're not interested in having the classical form wolf, crow, bull, you can create your own. If you need a dolphin form, you can be the only PREM sorcerer to be able to transform into a dolphin. You have new skills like the acrobats, which relate very well to the Khazar. In the latest Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadow movie, you have an example, a very good example of what a Khazar would be in Usura. Those kind of assassin acrobats, and very very wild and fierce. There is a skill called Falconer, and then fortune telling for your Fideli, fortune teller. Yeah, you have a new swordsman school, the Bogatyr, which is a mix between heavy weapon and hunting. Buslajevich, which is riding and archery mixed together. And finally, you have Dobrynya Wrestling, which is kind of your Zangief character, big wrestling man with. They even have an advanced snack called Bear Hug, and I suggest you buy it. Not because of mechanical advantage, but you cannot be a Dobrynya wrestler without the bear hugs. Come on, and. The last section of the book is the GM section, and a fair warning to anyone who would like to read 7th Sea but not play maybe as a game master. There is a big spoilers at the end of the book. Several spoilers, in fact. Every book's in this series have these revelation at the end of the books. I recommend you don't read these section if you're just a player, because there is very much material. There is a lot of material for your game master to sit his story upon or to develop from. And in the case of Usura, you have one of the biggest spoiler in the setting.